Primoz Bozic went from being a 20-year-old socially awkward computer science student earning $7 an hour with no connections, no experience, and no business knowledge to earning multiple six figures with his online business, all while living in Slovenia. He now coaches world-class experts, CEOs, and rising stars on growing their online businesses by creating world-class content, ultimate guides, and premium online courses. He served as the lead coach and product manager for Ramit Sethi's Zero to Launch Accelerator, which was a seven-figure online business coaching program. He has created multiple successful online courses that range from $50 to $1,500, had multiple five-figure product launches, and his clients include celebrity makeup artists, world-class songwriters, and the world's best high-performance coaches. I met Primoz when we were both in Ramit's Brain Trust, which was a mastermind that Ramit Sethi was running for about a year. And I had Primoz on the podcast to talk about his background, how he prices online courses, how he thinks about product, and what he learned from Ramit. So this is the best of my interview with Primoz Bozic. If you want the full interview, go down to the description below and you can check that out on the Alex Berman podcast. All right, let's jump into it. First, we talked about how Primoz went from $7 an hour to $1,000 an hour.
That was my first step. So, if we go back in time, I think like 6 or 7 years, I was working as a computer science student, studying computer science. I was also working in a cubicle in this, large software company of 500 people. I was in there every day, basically doing some very, very basic coding, making $7 per hour, and, basically wondering what I'm doing with my life. This coding wasn't something that I was really amazing at. It wasn't something that I particularly enjoyed. And there was this one moment where I talked to this guy who's been in the company for like 40 years, who was a great coder, but there he was sitting in the same office that I was. I was in the company for like a month and a half, and I was actually making more money than him. And at that point I was like, shit, that's not how I want to end up. Like, I don't want to spend my whole life working on this thing and then, earn less than a college student. So at that point I kind of figured like, hey, maybe I want to start some kind of an online business in the future. And yeah, long story short, everything did start with joining an online course from Ramit Sethi. It was Earn 1K, which was this course on creating a freelance business. And that's like, the thing that got me into the business world and really opened my eyes to all the possibilities of what I could do.
And we talked about Ramit. Ramit Sethi, if you guys don't know, I've talked about him a bunch on this channel. I consider him a virtual mentor, not a real mentor. I wouldn't bother him by emailing him constantly. I know what that's like, so I would never do that to somebody. But I really look up to Ramit, and I talk about him a lot on this channel because he did influence like the mindset that I have around being able to contact people as long as you provide value. So why did Primoz join Ramit Sethi's team?
First of all, we had a honest conversation with Ramit, and he was like, you can still keep running your business, but it's gonna, the work that you do with us is gonna have to be top priority. So I was like, that's fine. My thought process was pretty simple. Like, you don't really get this opportunity to work with someone who's one of the best people in the world at what they do very often. It's like, I've learned a lot from Ramit for online courses and things like that. And I was like, I never envisioned myself as like working with his company for like, 20 years or something like that. I'm not that kind of person. But I saw this opportunity of like, I'm like, 23, 24 years old. Yes, I could continue growing my business. And yes, I could probably scale it faster and make more money if I just focused on that. But then I had this opportunity to learn from someone who, runs like a 7-8 figure business, who has a team of 50 people. There's probably, a lot of things that I can learn about running an online business like that, as well as different skills like, copywriting and things like that, if I work with someone like that. So that's why I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, I want to work with someone who's the best in the world, what he does, and just, learn from him as much as possible.
Then I asked, what did Primoz learn from Ramit?
There's a lot of things. I think one of the things was like, how do you build a 7-figure online business? Because that's what I pretty much, made out of Accelerator. Like, when I came there, it was a completely different program than, when I left. At the beginning, there was some software they were selling, and, Ramit did some coaching. And then when I ended, we removed the software. We created this big, coaching community, this big coaching system. And it became a program that, became basically a 7-figure online business.
Then we talked about, how did Primoz find product market fit?
It's pretty straightforward. Like, we weren't really giving people what they wanted, right? Like, we thought like, hey, let's make this software that people will really like. But, honestly, it wasn't a great software. We weren't really listening to what people wanted, to what kind of, support they wanted. And, we were just doing things that we thought like were good for them. We're like, oh, let's record some of these videos and release them on a monthly basis. Rather than asking people, straightforward, like, hey, what is it that, you're struggling with? How can we help you? I think we also didn't have the audience completely nailed nailed down. We didn't really know who the audience was for that program initially. And then through a lot of research, we kind of like figured it out, like who are, 1, 2, 3 groups of people that would be a really good fit for that program. I think with product market fit, there's no real tricks. It's just like you have to talk to a critical mass of people, ask the right questions, and then just see, what is it that people are really struggling with, help them with those things, and then just stop doing everything else. Like we had to stop focusing on the software stuff so we could make the coaching really, really great. And there was a big process of like, let's test this out, see, like how 20 students react to this. And then if it's really, really good, we'll think about how to make it really amazing and then roll it out to the 1,000 students that we have, so things like that. It's just, I think, a natural part of the process of figuring out the, product market fit for us.
Then we talked about Primoz's approach to course creation.
I'd say it was a mix. Because like if you compare it to before I worked with Ramit, I would put together a course in like a week and then I would launch it. I would have this idea and I would do it, right? So with this specific program, in December, I got my first coaching clients for the Ultimate Guides. We launched the course in March. Between December and March, I had over 100 conversations about Ultimate Guides with people interested in writing Ultimate Guides, with people interested in growing their business. Like sometimes I brought the idea about Ultimate Guides to them. Sometimes they would bring it to me. Whenever I would go to like a business mastermind or conference, all I would talk about is Ultimate Guides with like hundreds of people. So in that time frame, like for example, one of the big insights in that time frame was, like I used the word epic guides for quite a few weeks, and then nobody really understand me when I would introduce myself and I would say like, hey, I'm Primoz, I help entrepreneurs create epic guides, and they were like, what did you say? But then when I started using the word ultimate guides, like everybody would all of a sudden understand it. So I had a lot of conversations with potential clients. I was like, why do you want to create an ultimate guide? Like, why does this matter to you? What's stopping you from creating it? What are your biggest concerns about creating it? So, at the end of the day, I think I had this like research document of like 15,000 words of just, quotes from people, about their desires, pain points, things like that. So it was like this rapid research process over the course of 3 months. But then also I was working with my clients one-on-one and creating their own guides, and I also made notes on like, what does the process look like? What's working well? How do we have to change the process? Which steps have to go earlier, later, and so on and so on. So by the time I actually launched my product, I had like my positioning pretty nailed down. Like I understood what people wanted and I understood like how to sell Ultimate Guides, because it wasn't an easy sell. It's like basically, if you look at it, some people might say, well, you're just teaching people how to write an ebook. I was like, yeah, but there's like so much more. So actually, even as a part of that sales process, I wrote this Ultimate Guide checklist that you can find on my site that describes how, you don't just sit down and write an Ultimate Guide. And if you do, why it's probably not going to work very well for your business, but how it's this like 8-step process, how you come up with an idea, how you outline it, how you write it, edit it, promote it, how you create an email list strategy, a lead magnet for it. Like there's all of these things involved. So I showed people, like, yes, Ultimate Guides are freaking amazing, but you can't just sit down to write it. The biggest concern from my audience would be, well, why can't I just sit down and write it? Like, why would I buy $1,000 course on this subject, right? So even that I had to learn through research, address that, and so on and so on. So for 3 months, I had to figure out how to even sell this course.
If you want the full episode, check it out in the description below. If you want our online courses that are free, because this video is about courses, you can check out experiment27.teachable.com. We've got a sales course for mobile and web developers, how to start an agency business from partnership to sales team, email marketing, cold contact for warm sales, and sales training, how to close deals faster. You can have any of those for free at experiment27.teachable.com. Share this video with someone else you think might get value from it, and I'll talk to you later. I'm Alex Berman. Thanks for watching.